How you guys doing today? We're gonna go over some of the specs of the custom computer upgrade king gaming desktop that we have here. It's running an i7 6700 clocked at 4 gigahertz. It's running 32 gigabytes of RAM on the motherboard. It's running an NVIDIA GTX 1080 with 24 gigabytes of RAM inside that, a 256 solid state hard drive, and a terabyte hard disk drive as well. And we're going to show you guys some frame rates playing GTA, and then we're going to go to some Counter-Strike as well. So we're already into the game, so we can skip the part of the tutorial. We're running a nice 60 frames per second, no drops or anything. We're just in a cutscene right now, but as soon as you get to the actual gameplay, still no drops, still running 60 FPS. And even as we start getting into the more graphically intensive sections of the game, when you start seeing smoke, water particles, people running around, gunshots, stuff like that, it still stays at 60 FPS. You're about to see here a pretty big explosion on the screen. It's going to fill the room with smoke, and graphics card's going to handle it just fine. You see all the smoke in the room, everything's kind of foggy. You can still run outside, not dropping any frames. Gunshots start flying, still running solid 60 FPS, still haven't dropped a frame yet. Running down the hill as we start putting more entities in the actual level, still haven't dropped a frame yet. Pretty impressive from the 1080. And now we're into the driving scenes, the snow particles flying around us. Again, still no drop in FPS, still a solid 60. And with that, we can go take a look at the exact graphics settings that we're running here. So if you can come into the graphics settings right here, you see DirectX 11, full screen, 1080p, 60 Hz. FXA is on, MSAA is off, VSync's on, and you come over to the advanced graphics. We're not running any of that right now, only using 2.3 gigabytes of onboard RAM, but the game's running just fine at 60 FPS. So we can move on to a little slower game like Counter-Strike. Go ahead and close this. We'll, as you can see here, you can take a look at the temperatures and the settings. Graphics card temperature looks like at the max was 122 during that game Fahrenheit. It's 113 right now. The GPU usage kicked up to 97 for a minute right at the beginning of the game, then it dropped back down, settled right around 40. The fan speed was sitting at 32 almost that entire game. And then the CPU temperature looks like it had a max of 113. But it settled out right around 80 during the middle of that game. We'll just go into an offline deathmatch with bots. And right now we're sitting at a frame rate of about 210. Going up to 230, I've only seen it drop as low as 200 while we've been sitting here. 240 there for a minute. Still sitting at 250, 260. Nothing really too graphically intensive about Counter-Strike. It's more of a CPU intensive game, but it is really popular these days. Something like the i7 6700 can obviously handle it really well. And then you can come back and look at the same statistics we were looking at for the graphics card, or for GTA 5 rather. GPU temperature went up to about 134, 135. GPU usage did drop a little bit though. It's looking at 34 rather than closer to 40. Fan speed went up a little bit to 38, but you wouldn't be able to tell by the noise that you can't hear. And then CPU temperature went up from about 80, looking right around 95, 100. CPU is a little bit more graphic or processor intensive game, so that's no surprise. And inside the case here, from bottom to top, you can see you've got your 256 solid state drive right here. You've got your GeForce GTX 1080 with 24 gigabytes of onboard RAM. You've got your 32 gigabytes of RAM on the motherboard right there, two sticks of 16 gigabytes each. And of course you have your processor and your liquid cooling right there on the motherboard as well, with some nice blue LEDs in there as well. Really nice wire control in there. Keeps everything neat and clean. And that's going to be our review of the Computer Upgrade King Custom Gaming Desktop.